Number 10. An intimate encounter. In Seminole, Florida, a woman has been charged with criminal mischief, and the reason why is almost unbelievable. She got herself entangled in an intimate encounter inside a bar's bathroom in December of 2021. The encounter resulted in the sink breaking right off the wall. According to the police, Catherine Trammell, a woman of 37 years, and her male friend were customers at the Irish 31 pub in Seminole. Employees witnessed them sneaking into the bathroom together and then promptly asked them to leave, but they didn't. They sat at the bar a little bit longer, sipped their drinks, and then visited the bathroom a second time together. As if getting busted and kicked out the first time wasn't exciting enough, they went back for seconds. But it was after the second trip to the bathroom that the employees saw the sink had been broken right off the wall. We don't think we need to elaborate on how that may have happened. We can all picture it pretty clearly in our minds. When questioned by the police, Catherine admitted she and her friend had broken the sink together, causing $500 in damage. Number 9. Arguing at Dunkin' Donuts. A teen in New York City was busted for her involvement in a shooting that happened at a Dunkin' Donuts in the Bronx. The teenager, a young woman of only 18, was identified as Santiana Rodriguez. On March 18, 2022, she shot to death a Jamaican immigrant named Stephon Stewart in broad daylight. It happened on Holland Avenue, just in front of the Dunkin' Donuts. But it all started inside when Rodriguez cut the line and Stewart called her out on it. Instead of going to the back of the line like a normal and decent person, Rodriguez told Stewart to back off and accused him of having COVID. The Jamaican immigrant wasn't about to start a brawl in the middle of a coffee shop, so he let Rodriguez cut the line and didn't make a big fuss about it. But when he left the shop, Rodriguez followed Stewart and his friend outside. She then met up with a couple of her buddies who followed the immigrants down the street and shot them to death. We don't know who exactly pulled the trigger, but we do know Rodriguez instigated the whole thing and is going down for murder. We also know that Stewart had just arrived in the US in December of 2021. He hadn't even made it a full year in America before he was shot to death over a frivolous argument at a Dunkin' Donuts. Number 8. JANEEN Thomas. JANEEN Thomas is a pretty terrible person who lives in Philadelphia. She first came into the local spotlight in 2015 for a string of thefts and general bad behavior at Philadelphia eateries. She didn't get national fame, but she was well known throughout the city for being the worst customer ever. She was arrested for attempting to dine and dash at a restaurant called Veg. She was also busted stealing somebody's belongings at Chris's Jazz Cafe. Within a very short span of time, JANEEN Thomas was arrested 8 times. Each time she was arrested, she would just go back and do something terrible at a different establishment. It wasn't until February of 2016 that JANEEN finally got in major trouble by the police. She was given 5 years of probation and ordered to participate in rehab. She even called the local Philadelphia papers to give her side of the story and apologize for being such a bad person and an unlikable customer. It seemed she was turning her life around. But then in July of that same year, she was arrested at University City in the middle of the day for being drunk and disorderly. The day after, she was arrested at the restaurant Pattaya Thai for stealing a pair of purses and attempting to make a getaway through the basement. The police found her drunk and trying to ditch the evidence in the septic tank. She was arrested and taken to Riverside Women's Jail in northeast Philadelphia and was looking at some serious jail time. Number 7. A KETCHUP arrest. On October 27, 2018, a woman assaulted the manager of a McDonald's restaurant because she didn't get enough ketchup. This is what the Santa Ana police in California said after her arrest. She was taken into custody in November, over a month later, after receiving numerous tips from the public confirming her identity. Her name is Myra Berenice Gallo, and she was just 24 years old when she became one of the first Karens in history, before Karen was even a term. She was caught on surveillance footage entering the restaurant through the back door marked "Employees Only." It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was furious for being stiffed on the ketchup. Myra, once in the employee-only area, launched herself at the manager. The manager was pinned between the crazy woman and the drive-through window. She had nowhere to go and nowhere to run, and could only attempt to protect herself as the crazed Myra viciously assaulted her and even tried to strangle her. And it all started over a lack of ketchup. She didn't get enough of the condiment in her bag. She started a fight about it at the front of the store, and she pursued it all the way into the back. After the vicious assault, she fled with a man and was gone. But thanks to the footage, the police were flooded with tips and people giving up Myra's name. One of the viewers even called the cops and gave them her home address. Number 6. A freak out at the hair salon. Sharon Spellman was a hairstylist in LA back in 2020. She was 25 years old, working at Simply Insane Hair Salon. Her employment there had been relatively normal until one day when a truly insane person walked in through the doors. The customer, referred to only as Robin by Spellman, was looking to get a root touch-up service. Spellman set her up with her assistant, a person named Alex, and that was when the freakout started. Robin refused to be helped by the assistant. She insisted that Spellman do her hair herself and wouldn't take no for an answer. She even started getting belligerent about it. There was some extremely intense arguing in which it came out Robin didn't want the other woman to touch her hair because of the color of her skin. She was being racist in front of everyone, saying she only wanted to get her hair done by a white woman. She had even been okay with being helped by Alex, the assistant, until she saw that she was Latina. Naturally, she was asked to leave. In response, Robin flipped out. She lunged at the stylist, tried to hit her, and then started crying. She was clearly having a mental breakdown. Either way, she was kicked out of the salon and is never allowed back. Number 5. The Fake Agent. A man named David Stover was arrested for impersonating a law enforcement officer in April of 2022. David walked into a Wendy's restaurant in Bunnell, Florida, and told the employees behind the counter he was law enforcement. He did this because he wanted to get a discount on his fast food. But when the employees at the restaurant refused to give him the discount, he didn't just say okay and leave it alone. He pushed the issue and got into a screaming match with the staff, who then called the real police. According to the employees of the Wendy's, David freaked out and threatened to report the staff for not cooperating. But believe it or not, the business with the discount goes back over 2 years. He had a friend who worked there and would give him a discount. When that friend left their job, that was when David came up with the whole law enforcement bit. But instead of getting a discount on his cheap burger, he was arrested and charged. Number 4. Rampage at the Arcade. Horror struck at the popular CK Video Arcade back in December of 2021. The arcade, located in New Orleans, was a popular place for people to hang out and play retro arcade machines. But everything went wrong on a tournament night when a customer became erratic, took a price tag gun and started to plaster the video game machines with stickers. The owner of the joint, Judah Lee, refunded the man's money and asked him to leave. He was acting obnoxious and vandalizing the machines in front of everybody. The customer had no intention of leaving, though. When asked to vacate the premises, he pulled out a knife and threatened the owner, plunging the place into a silent tension. Thankfully, the customer put the knife away and ran out the door. But they weren't finished. The customer came back 20 minutes later and attached a bicycle lock to the inside of the doors, locking everyone inside. Luckily, the owner was able to get his 15 customers out through a different exit to safety. All he could do next was watch through the video cameras inside the arcade as the insane customer smashed out every single one of his machines with an axe. He had spent 6 years of his life building the arcade into a successful business, and it was smashed apart in one night. But what's really crazy is that nobody even came to help. The owner had to go himself to the police station after 911 didn't work. At the station, he was told there were no available units, and so the police didn't even come while the man's business was torn apart by a maniac with an axe. In the end, over $50,000 in damage was done, and his business was ruined. Number 3. Unprovoked violence. At a gas station in Iowa, a customer used her fists, teeth, and feet to violently attack the clerk. According to the cops in Urbandale where this happened, the act of violence was completely unprovoked. It was February of 2022 when the woman, identified as Amber Ravel, walked through the front doors and lay down on the floor. When the gas station clerk asked if she was okay, genuinely worried she was in trouble, that was when everything went wrong. She sprang to her feet, ran at the attendant, and then bit and kicked him. He didn't receive any serious injuries, but it was still pretty scary. The poor guy was just trying to do his job alone in a gas station, and there was a maniac kicking and biting him. When the cops showed up, the woman attacked them as well. She tore down racks in the store, flung herself around like she was possessed, and was dragged away in handcuffs. Officers say she was charged with public intoxication, assault on a police officer, and criminal mischief. What it looks like is that she got wasted, tried to take a nap on the floor of the gas station, and then took out whatever frustration she had in her own life on the lonely clerk. Number 2. The unruly passenger. When a crazy passenger tried to force his way into the cockpit of an American Airlines flight in 2016, he found himself getting smashed over the head with a coffee pot. It was one of the most bizarre customer freakouts on an airplane pre-COVID. According to the official release from the FBI, the man's name was Juan Ramberto Rivas. He was 50 years old on a flight from LA to Washington. In the middle of the flight, he began to display erratic behavior. He threatened the flight attendants, he was acting like a maniac, and then he got up from his seats and brandished a plastic knife like a shank. Then Juan ditched his knife and grabbed a champagne bottle by the neck and tried to smash it on the counter to make an even better shank. He ran at the exit door and tried to open it, but it didn't work, so he went after the cockpit. It was about this time that one of the flight attendants grabbed a coffee pot and smashed it over Juan's head. An off-duty cop who happened to be on the airplane, assisted by several other passengers, then sprang on Juan and held him down on the floor. With help from the crew, they used zip ties to restrain his hands and feet. They kept him prisoner until they landed safely at the Kansas City International Airport, where Juan was taken into custody by the FBI. Number 1. Bridal salon mayhem. After not getting her deposit back at a bridal salon, an insane woman went on a rampage and caused over $11,000 in damage. This went down in January of 2022 at a bridal salon in China. The disgruntled customer, who hasn't been named, was filmed by horrified spectators as she went through rack after rack of wedding gowns and sliced them up with a pair of scissors. She destroyed 32 wedding dresses, all because the store refused to give back her deposit of $550. According to the workers, the deposit was for a wedding package that the customer abruptly cancelled, worth $1,250. We can only assume the angry customer had something go wrong with her own planned wedding. And then, when she didn't get her money back, something snapped in her brain. She went and got herself a pair of scissors, then went rampaging through the store with her COVID mask on, slicing dress after dress until the police finally showed up. Now she's looking at somewhere around $74,000 in fine, plus the damage. Thank you for watching. Would you rather deal with an unhinged customer while working alone at a gas station, or be stuck on a plane for 6 hours with a Karen screaming and ranting? Let us know your choice in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.